Good evening. This is Maestro Cretella with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast, and happy holidays too. Happy holidays. Tonight we have, we got Floid on the blue side playing as the Lictor Alpha. I think he's a pretty good commander. Stealthy, but also very powerful. He's really powerful in melee, although not especially tanky. On the other side, we have the Commissar, who is also pretty good in melee and kind of tanky, but not as especially as the Force Commander or the Hive Tyrant or the Chaos Lord. Basic opening caps, pretty much, with just everyone going. Actually, not that basic. Floyd heads up right in the middle to try to get this contested victory point really fast. Has his hero get the natural victory point. If anything, I would think it would be better to send your hero up, since your hero probably going to have the highest impact at the start, especially with the Tyranids, where their starting units are very weak by themselves. Termagants need that Toxin Sacs upgrade. As it is, Termagants even abandoning this capture of the natural requisition so they can help out with the fight. Hormagaunts decide to capture instead. Yeah, I think that's a good call, especially against the Imperial Guard. The Hormagaunts are probably going to get focused down and then stomped pretty quickly, especially once Stone Delphoid already has this ground pound research. That was the very first power expenditure he made. Only has a node, so he doesn't even have a huge power income yet, but it's only 15 power and 50 requisition, so it is a cheap upgrade, and most of the time you are going to get it. But it's just to make to sort of balance out that Imperial Guard start, which has often been considered the best Tier 1 in the game, and back in retail it cost 0 power to make. We do have spore mines bought from the Hive. Spore mines, and the spore mines are coming in for a flank. Knock that guardsman squad down to half health, but don't kill any models, which is kind of sad. Spore mines, I wonder if they can cap. I think what he is going to do instead is use them actually to bash this generator. I don't know what else he should do with that. Or maybe he'll use it to go after the Sentinel. Hormagaunts just get stomped. I mean, a melee unit will do a lot of damage to the Sentinel, but most of the time they just get stomped. And I don't know what these spore mines are doing exactly. Hormagaunts down to 3 models. They're going to come over here. I think he's going to use them to cap now. Hormagaunts, often considered a fairly expendable and not so great Tier 1 melee unit. They can still definitely be useful, just because they do have high DPS, but they are very weak and they die very quickly. They don't scale as well as Knobs. They don't start as good as Banshees and don't scale as well as Banshees either. And then they don't have the utility of Heretics. So you have a bit of a power farm going down here for Floyd. He's got quite a unit composition. 5 units, although that does include these spore mines, which will eventually die. But the Warrior Brood comes out. That's a pretty typical... That's probably the most typical buy. Tier 1, 4th unit Tier 1 buy for the Tyranids. It used to be Raveners, and I'm surprised we actually haven't seen a return to more Ravener play, since they can get that ranged Devourer morph in Tier 1, which would actually be pretty good against the Tyranids because it does a lot of damage, unless it's been changed. But we do have the Barbed Strangler Warrior Brood, which is actually going to be very good against the Guardsman. Commissar I find kind of annoying, to be honest. Just running in, disrupting and tying up your stuff when you're trying to focus on the rest of the Imperial Guard army. And we do have Catachans knocking down this Tyranid blob. He might want to split up those Termagants so they don't get knocked down together. Only one of them gets knocked down, and then it's not as big of a deal, because he still has one squad focusing the Commissar. Let's take a look at that Commissar. He looks so small, and the numbers, obviously only 600 health, but somehow it just works where you actually just run him in. And he's quite a boss. Just look at, he's got a great outfit. His face is all fucked up, and he just got flesh hooked. neither the Lictor Alpha nor the Commissar have any upgrades. We do have the middle taken by Stoned Elf Boy, and he is putting down an improvised explosive. Warrior Brood will detect that, though. Although if any other units try to capture it, they will definitely lose some models. And Hormagaun's going for a decap on this power. Should probably just go after the decap, because it's not really worth it for them to capture it and risk losing the entire squad or even just the model bleed. So the Catachan Devils putting down the demo pack means that they have been upgraded with the demo man, will increase their range DPS and just make them tougher overall because they have an 8th member. Catachans, still a pretty good squad in my opinion. Do good damage and have good utility with just both more so the old reliable, but explosive shot can come in handy too. I guess it's the only thing with explosive shot is that it's a melee counter when you actually want your Catachans in melee, because they will beat most things in melee in a direct fight. Maybe not Banshees, so you might want to force off Banshees. Heretics is a little iffy. Certainly any ranged unit. They'll probably beat Assault Space Marines in melee. And the Devourers do have that ranged Devourer biomorph. Now I'm using the old tooltip mod. The old tooltip mod said that they do 22 DPS piercing, which, I mean, if it still does that, then that means that as a squad it's doing 66 DPS, which is the best DPS you can get in tier 1 by a pretty big margin, except for maybe it used to be the Shooter Boys would have, I think, just a little bit higher if they were fully upgraded with both big shooters and the knob. But that might be different in Elite Mod, since they had their damage reduced a little bit, and then you get it back in tier 2 if you have the shooter knob. Map control has gone in Floyd's favor. He has more victory points left on his counter, and right now he has a 2 cap. Still no upgrades from either heroes. Sentinel, kind of just doing what it does. Already level 2. I think at least one of the disadvantages of Tyranids, probably also Imperial Guard, for both these races, they have a lot of models. So that means they're going to be losing a lot of models, which means the opposing team will be getting a lot of levels. So Sentinel is already level 2, even though it's not a very powerful... It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Again, assuming it hasn't been changed in the Elite mod, which I'm pretty sure it hasn't. The Sentinel does 30 DPS, which is fairly low. It's less than most actual ranged infantry squads. But I mean, you mostly use the Sentinel because of its mobility, harassment ability, the stomp that it gets, protecting your ranged blob, and also just because of how you can heal it. Sentinel usually dies in tier 2, but if you can keep it alive, it can be pretty useful if you get the missile launcher upgrade. We do actually already have... We have Stormtroopers already when... Stormtroopers from Stoned Elf Boy when Floyd is still trying to get to tier 2. Could have pressed his advantage a little bit more if he had gotten a vehicle like a Chimera instead of the Stormtroopers. He does get that missile launcher, which is actually going to be very good against the Term. Oh wow! Just look at those models. 3 models died from the Termagant squad. Very good against the Termagants. Very good against the Tyranids in general. And I see. It seems Stoned Elf Boy likes to do this. He doesn't get an upgrade. He doesn't get a weapon upgrade in tier 1, since that basically the only weapon you can get is the Power Fist. Instead, he gets the. I mean, the only weapon you can get in tier 1 is the Power Sword, but he doesn't get it, so he can get the Power Fist in tier 2. Wow, I have so much trouble talking when I'm casting. The Ravener model just got blown up by that grenade from the Stormtroopers. They now have a grenade, which seems a little strange because their whole thing is that they have improved range and damage when they're upgraded to the assault kit. So they can just stand really far back, shoot up the other team's units when they can't even be sighted by the other team. And that's part of what makes Stormtroopers really good, especially if you get them with the Lord General. So obviously a grenade you have to get close. I guess they can use it defensively, or they can use it out of infiltration. Catachan Devils upgraded to have a demo man. No, the veteran sergeant, or whatever he's called, the guy there with the beret and the melt-a-gun. We also have stubbornness and flak jacket from the Commissar Lord. Flak jacket can be very good. I believe the flak jacket ability, Inspire Terror, does 300 DPS piercing. So we'll have some damage mitigation against the Warrior Brood and the Ravener Broods that Floyd just got, but it can still be pretty good against them. And then the Raveners are just regular infantry, so it'll probably just one-shot those Ravener models. I think the Stormtrooper's getting a little too far ahead. We do have a flare going down, reducing the range. You know, it's weird. People, certainly when you first see the flare, it doesn't seem like that good of a global because it doesn't do any damage, but it's often an engagement winner because it means that your opponent is getting shot up while you can just shoot at them and they can't shoot you back. Commissar Lord not doing anything particular, chasing after Floyd's blob. And the Sentinel, this is actually really looking, despite the VP lead, this is looking pretty, it's looking pretty good for Stoned Elf Boy. Missiles unfortunately collide with this column over here. Would have done a ton of damage to the Termagants. And this Sentinel missile launcher should be getting repaired by the Guardsman right here. It is extremely good against the Termagants. And Floyd did lose a Termagant squad. Wow, took out like almost half health on that Hormigant squad. Yeah, this Commissar Lord needs to put that shield up. And that's still just a flare. Sentinel does need to move back and also get repaired by this Guardsman squad, but Stormtrooper's doing a ton of damage. Catachan's coming in here, probably will disrupt something. Might even use the shotgun blast. Or they'll just use their shotguns and do a ton of damage. Oh, and now the Sentinel is in trouble, needs to get out of there. Very low in health, and the Lictor Alpha, for some reason, is really good at chasing. Whenever you think like you've gotten away, he actually just gets you. But that engagement went massively in Stone. Well, obviously, Stoned Elf Boy just got forced off, but the results of the engagement went massively in Stoned Elf Boy's favor. He got a triple cap, and he even captured Floyd's natural power. So Floyd has, at this point, he has only 10 power income, while Stoned Elf Boy has 94. And that's the kind of thing where that can, by itself, be a game changer, because that means Stoned Elf Boy is going to be in Tier 3. He will have no shortage of power. Floyd has a lot of power, actually, but the problem is that with such a little power income, once he spends it on something, he probably won't have much power left for most of the game. And if he goes Tier 2, he probably won't even be able to get a Tier 2 unit. So it'd probably be best for him to stay in Tier 2, maybe get a Zoanthrope, maybe even a Tyrant Guard. I think actually the Tyrant Guard might actually do pretty well here, since Stoned Elf Boy does not really, at least right now, does not really have heavy infantry. He does not have super heavy infantry counters. The only problem is that he could easily get Casterkins out, or just a Lehman Russ or something with his income. Alright, so Floyd is going to get his power back. He does go for the Zoanthrope, which is pretty good against Tyranids. Really going to like kill a bunch of models off the Guardsman squads, the Stormtroopers, or the Catachans with even just one volley. And if he gets two in, that squad will suffer quite a few losses and have to retreat. Warrior Brood has not been upgraded to the adrenal glands and should probably stay the way it is right now. Although this Venom Brood has very little health. All models, but very little health still. And this Sentinel is actually doing an incredible job. I always talk, I don't really play Imperial Guard, but I always talk about how I think the Missile Launcher Sentinel is really good. And part of the reason I do that is just because part of the reason I think that, even though I don't really play IG, is that I've I've spent a lot of time studying the damage values for the units, as well as the damage types. And I've done a lot of things where I've kind of tested things scientifically just in a game against the computer, just to see what works, what doesn't, what's effective, what's not, or at least not even what's effective practically, but just how much damage will something do. And this Sentinel missile launcher is really good just with doing great damage to blobbed up infantry, and especially now that it has this, it's almost level 4. And that increases its damage, makes it even better at killing things, and since the weapon itself is better, it's going to get even more kills and level faster. We do have mines going down right here, and it's in a position where it's, later on, if Floyd doesn't take care of these things, he might retreat into them, and I've already seen quite a few times where Stoned Elf Boy used these mines to kill units on retreat, and the other player really couldn't do anything except watch and cry about it. The only thing is that Floyd should see these mines, and he should just start shooting them up. He does have 2 detectors, so he should just use them to just shoot things up. This Sentinel might go down, which, if it does, it would be really sad. We already have a Lehman Russ. Unfortunately, Floyd has had to stay in Tier 2. He does not have his power back, or he lost it again. And this is not really looking good for Floyd. Stoned Elf Boy definitely proving to be a really strong player lately. So it's really looking like Stoned Elf Boy right now. He should quickly take out those mines. I don't think the Hormigons should try to get in against the Catachan Devils. Catachan Devils level 2 have quite a bit of health. I think Zoanthrope a little too far ahead. And this could be, I mean, this is looking like a potential end of the game right here. Just with all of the stuff Floyd is facing. The map control completely in Stoned Elf Boy's favor. Only does not have this natural victory point, and Floyd finally calls a GG, and it was looking like it at that moment. Pretty good play by Stoned Elf Boy. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy holidays and good night.